can get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. Welcome to today's information session. My name is Salma Sadi, and I'm one of the Practicum coordinators in the Practicum office, and my pronouns are she and her. And I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the information session. This session is being recorded, so I just wanted to let you know. So if you want to turn your camera off, if that feels more comfortable for you, please do that. And the reason we're recording it is I believe that there's a few things happening today. So there's a conflict and some people couldn't make it. So we just wanted to record it for them. And I also wanted to let you know, and I think you should know this, that the session is divided into two parts. So for the first part, I will be discussing other ways to secure a practicum outside of the practicum administrative system, which I will be referring to as the PASS during the presentation. And my colleague Mindy, who is also a practicum coordinator for the second half, is going to specifically be talking to students who are accepted for practicums for spring and summer. And she's going to be discussing the practicum process and what that looks like for spring and summer students. Okay, I am going to share my screen now. If this works. I also wanted to say, feel free to ask questions during the presentation. You can either turn your mic on and ask questions or put them in the chat. And Practicum team, if I miss a question or I don't see it in the chat because I'm speaking, just alert me and let me know. I appreciate it. Thank you. So as I said, we're here today to discuss how to secure a practicum outside of the practicum administrative system, also referred to as the PASS. And I've also put it in the chat, the practicum administrative system and PASS, because I know that during the presentation, I'll be referring to it as the PASS, and people may not know what the acronym is. So just in case, I put it in the chat. And practicums that are promoted and advertised outside of the PASS and through our website usually fall into three different categories. So those are competitive practicums, practicums outside of the Greater Toronto Area, and off-schedule practicums. As I said, they're posted on our website, and I've also attached the link to the chat as well. But at the end of the presentation, I will quickly go through the website just to show you some of the opportunities that we currently have there. And some of those opportunities that are up, the deadlines are soon too, so I'll just put that out there. And what I would suggest is we are posting different practicums on our website every week. So what you see today is not necessarily what you're going to be seeing by the end of the week or next week. So if you get a chance, check it regularly, because we try to update it as practicums come in. And practicums let us know that they're interested in having our students placed with them. Sorry, okay. What is a competitive practicum? Competitive practicums are opportunities where FIF-SW students are applying for practicum spots that are also open to students from other academic programs. So this means that these spots are not protected for our students necessarily. The spots are open to other students in other academic institutions, and essentially, the word competition means that you'll be competing with them, and there's usually a limited number of spots that are available. Off-schedule practicums, they usually fall into two different categories. So practicums which fall outside of the regular practicum schedule. So I'll give you an example of this. So let's say for spring summer practicums, they usually begin at the end of April, but an organization may have identified that they want the practicum to begin in early April. So this would be considered off schedule. And because the practicum begins early, they may advertise the practicum earlier than we would advertise through the pass system. So for instance, if they wanted the practicum to start in early April, they might want us to advertise the practicum in January. So we would put a practicum like this up on our website. So practicums which fall outside of the regular practicum schedule are off schedule, and those that fall outside of the established matching schedule. So what that means is the pass system is usually open, for example, let's say at a particular time during a particular week. And that's when majority of the matching happens through the pass system. But if Practicum has said, I want a student in the fall, but I want to have that student secure in February, then we would also post that practicum on the website. So I'm just going to pause for a second, because as I said that, I realized I was giving a lot of information. Does anyone have any questions so far? I'm just going to check the chat. Okay, so I'm just going to move on. I'm trying to get rid of the chat. Sorry, I don't know how to get rid of the chat box. There we go. Okay. Practicums outside the Greater Toronto Area. So practicums outside of the GTA include in-person and hybrid practicums. And just in case, hybrid practicums are practicums that are a combination of remote and in-person, and are typically located outside of Peel, Halton, Toronto, York, and the Durham region. And due to the pandemic, there has been a large increase in fully remote practicums. So fully remote practicums outside of the GTA, which are protected for our students and are not off schedule, will be on the pass. So let me explain that. So for instance, if there was an organization in Winnipeg who was interested in placing one of our students, but the practicum is fully remote. You don't have to go in person, and the practicum is not off schedule. It's protected for one of our students. Those would be on our website because you do not have to commute or go a distance to get to that practicum. Our hope is the practicums that are listed on the website for outside of the GTA cater to students who live in those areas, or who live in areas outside of the GTA who do need some type of who want to be closer to where they're being placed, if that makes sense. What does the application process look like? Practicums found on the website typically require students to submit a cover letter and resume before a specific deadline. Each site has a different application process. So the application will tell you, it will say that the practicum wants a cover letter and a resume. Usually the application will go to me, and then I will send it to the practicum, and the practicum will review it. And if they are interested in meeting with you, they will contact you directly. And that's usually how the process works. As I said, each application is different, but all of that should be outlined on the different postings on the website. Majority have a specific deadline. Some do say open until filled. So that means that they will keep the posting up until they fill the practicum. And when we go on that website, I'll show you some examples of that. What if you apply for a practicum from the website and you're successful? Then congratulations, you have secured a practicum. That's incredible, and you are matched, and you will not need to be a part of the pass matching process. We do ask that if you do receive an offer from a practicum posted on our website, that you let them know within a week as a courtesy, as they are partners with us, and just out of courtesy to let them know within a week. If you applied for a practicum and you do not get an offer, then you will be included in the regular pass matching process. And if you applied but you have not heard back, and the pass matching process is beginning, in these cases, you will be part of the pass matching process if you have not heard back from a practicum that you've applied for. Does anyone have any questions so far before I go to the website? This is a good question. So Sophie, thank you. What if you are still in the interviewing stage when PASS begins? So I'm going to answer this, but also if any members of my team want to come in, because this is always a discussion that's had in the practicum office. It's a really good question. What we would say is if you are in the middle of the interviewing process, that you go ahead with the interviewing process and do not apply for PASS. Usually PASS at that time, it remains open for about a week. So our hope is that you can find out if you were accepted or not during that time. If it happens that you don't get the answer that you want, or it's not a good fit for you, then you can contact the practicum office and let us know, and we will support you to get a practicum. Did anyone from the team want to add to that? Don't know if I answered that well. And
it was fine. I mean, if people are kind of in the middle of two things, you know, our goal is that everybody's assigned a practicum, and those situations will be few and far between, and we'll work with the students to make sure that either one or the other occurs.
And I'm glad you brought this up, Sophie, as well, because our hope always at the practicum office is to have as many practicums on the website that are competitions, off schedule, outside of the GTA before PASS opens, and that the interview process happens and that students are matched before PASS opens. And that's ideally what we want. It doesn't always work out because we do have to wait for organizations to let us know when they're ready. So sometimes it does interfere with PASS, but as Mindy said, our job is to get you placed, and that's what we're here to do. So, and then Laura had a question. When does PASS open for practicum year 2 students? So as of now, we don't have a definite date, but it will be usually around late April to early May, I would say. Okay. I'm going to move this. Sorry for my technical difficulties, everyone. Okay. I'm just going to quickly go on the website. So the website, as you know, is socialwork.utoronto.ca, and then you would go to the heading that says Practicum. You would scroll down and go to For Students. Click on that. Go down a little further from the page. Click on Practicum Opportunities. We're going to be looking at Practicum 1 and 2 opportunities and Practicum 2 opportunities. Just to give you some examples of what's up there. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have any spring summer practicum for Practicum 1s on our website. We did have one before, but they've closed. And these are some of the ones that have kind of come and gone. But I will show you 2 examples. So usually—
Salma, sorry,
yeah.
I think that your screen might be frozen. I don't know if it's just me, but I can't. The screen that you're sharing is still stuck on the PowerPoint.
Oh, is it?
And
Selma,
my
can I
yeah.
suggest that you stop screen sharing, get the website, and then screen share again? That should fix
Sure.
it.
Sorry, everyone.
Okay.
Oops. I'll also shut down the PowerPoint. Hmm. Is that okay? Can everyone see it now? Okay, my apologies.
Looks good.
Okay, thanks, Denise. That was a good suggestion. Okay, so for this posting, it's with Correctional Services Canada, Beaver Creek Institution, and it's in Gravenhurst. It's a summer practicum. It's letting us know it's a competition. It's outside of the Greater Toronto Area. It's in person, and it's a practicum too. So it's a year 2 advanced standing practicum. And usually, I'm not going to read the posting, but usually the way they look is this posting has a bit of information about the town of Gravenhurst in the Muskoka region and where the institution is located. And then it gives a little bit information specifically about Beaver Creek Institution. And then it identifies some of the student responsibilities, the field of study. And this one, the application deadline is open until filled. And you would send your cover letter and resume to me. I will go back. I'll show you one more from spring, summer, and then we'll go on to fall. So this one is with the Ministry of Solicitor General, Office of Chief General, Child and Youth Death Review and Analysis. It's a summer practicum. It's fully remote and it's year 2. And this is actually an off-schedule practicum. This is a protected spot for one of our students, but the field instructor wanted to advertise earlier than when PASS opens. So I believe the application deadline is this Friday, and it was extended. It was last week, but we extended it for a week. And this also gives you some information about the organization. It also has this placement could be triggering for some individuals, given that you'll be required to review sensitive information about children and youth that are deceased. There are practicum requirements that are listed, student activities, and fields of study, application deadline information, and you apply to me as well. And here are some Practicum 2 opportunities for the fall for year 2 and advanced standing students. So 2 that I mentioned before are also looking for students in the fall. But I'll click on this one as an example. This one is in Peterborough, the family health team. It is a fall practicum. It's a competition, a hybrid, which means that it will have elements of both remote and in person, and it's year 2. Kind of the same thing, giving you some information about the Peterborough family health team and then some of the responsibilities of the student. I did want to outline this, and a few of the postings within the fall practicums have this written. Due to COVID-19, the practicum is listed as hybrid, as there may be in-person requirements, but this is dependent on the pandemic. The practicum may be remote if it is not safe to come to the center in person. So a few questions I've received, and it's a really good question, is there a possibility that this practicum will be remote? I'm just giving you the information of what the practicum field instructor is telling me. At this time, they're saying that there may be in-person requirements. So if you are interested, you should apply understanding that you may have to go into Peterborough. To keep in mind, prior to the pandemic, majority of these practicums we're all in person. And so a lot of them are remote. And I think the hope is to go back to in person, but because of the pandemic, there's so many unknowns. So this practicum might be hybrid today. It might be remote in 4 months. I don't know, but we're just giving you the information that the field instructor gives us. And if it says it's a hybrid, expect that there are in-person requirements as a part of the practicum. Yeah, I mean, what I would suggest, I think that covers most of it, but, feel free to check out the website, see if there's anything that interests you. I'm hoping that each posting is detailed enough to give you the information that you need. If you feel that you have another question that's specific to the practicum, you can feel free to outreach to contact me and just ask me some questions, and I can always check in with the organization or the field instructor to find out. I see some questions. That's a good question. So Kelsey has asked, I've noticed that a lot of the competitive practicums listed so far are for the mental health children and family stream. Are there usually competitive practicums available for human services management and leadership students? Maybe I'll put, I don't know if Denise or if you want to talk about what you've seen in the past. I did start in the position in October, so I believe that there's always a variety. Every year is a bit different. There's always practicum. There's certain practicums that always get posted on the website, but then there's new ones as well. But yeah, did anyone have anything to say about that? Or
Well, I could
yeah.
say every year is different, and certainly now the circumstances are even more complex. It's hard to know. Past history really has no bearing on today or future history on what's being offered. If there aren't any that are competitive, there will be on the PAS. And if there aren't on the PAS, certainly we in the practicum office will work with you to secure a practicum that is in your field of study. It's really hard to know. Every year is different.
Thank you, Mindy. Sophie is asking, in addition to Kelsey's question, I'm wondering about gerontology. I do believe that there is one practicum for fall now that the field of study is gerontology. One of the field of studies is gerontology, but I can't remember which one it is. And so Sophie, if you can't find it, just flip me an email, because I don't want to go through all of them and take up that time. But the same to Mindy's question, that every year it's different. And if they don't come up on the website, we hope that they come up on the past to accommodate your field of study. Oh, thank you, Trinity. The Peterborough one was gerontology. Thank you. So Allison's asking if there is a competitive opportunities in the fall winter semester that I am interested. Am I able to apply for those while still in the process of matching for spring summer practicum? I think I'm going to pass this to Mindy. I think we try to keep it one process at a time. Sorry, Mindy, I'm
No problem.
relying on you a lot. Just want to make
problem.
sure.
I've been here a little longer than you. In terms of if you are already going to be registering for spring summer, we're looking at working with you around securing a spring summer practicum. And you'd have to register, I believe the registration is around March 23rd, if you're in for spring summer. If you're in for, if you decide you don't want to do spring summer, you want to do fall, that would be okay. You'd have to be ready to undertake the process, as Sama said, at the end of April, beginning of May. And I certainly don't know what registration fees would be like if you're set to do summer and then you move into another semester. You'd have to look into that. Also,
Mindy, sorry to interrupt, but I believe the student is a year one student. She's going to do her year one practicum in the summer and will then be doing a year two practicum in the fall. So in fact, both processes would happen at the same time, right?
you're a year one student? Is she, can you identify yourself as a year one student?
No, actually, I am not year one student, but I think, yeah. Can you hear me? Can
Is
you
it
hear me?
Allison?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we
I
can
am,
now. Yeah, Allison, yeah.
okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm not year one student. Yeah, actually, I think Mindy, you actually understand my question right. Yeah, I am just like, because I kind of open for both summer practicum and fall practicum, but depends on the opportunities. That's why the question, that's what the question means. Yeah.
So Allison, you're say year two advanced standing student?
You're right.
Okay, you'd have to, again,
Sorry for
No,
misunderstanding,
but
Mindy.
Dennis, thank you so much. Thank you.
okay, so you understand the situation. You have to make a decision. And then again, I don't know your the fee situation, everybody's fee situation. That would be with, you'd confer with our registrar, but just let us know as quickly as possible. Like you're either in the summer one and we work with you in the summer, or you elect a fall one, that's okay. Then you begin the process with us at the end of April, beginning of May. Okay? Okay.
Yeah. But I guess a further question, I probably just email you. Yeah, because I guess until the press, I just worry that I don't get match or
Yeah.
anything.
Everybody gets assigned. I wouldn't worry about that. Okay. Are there other questions for Selma?
Anything else?
I do have a question, actually. It's Alexander
Okay.
speaking.
Hi, Alexander.
Hi there. My question has to do with competitive practicums that, let's say, have a deadline of March 31st. I'm wondering, is it guaranteed that the agency or institution will wait until that date to review applications, and thus there's no merit in submitting early? Or is there always a chance that they might receive an early application like the applicant and go forth and close the competition?
It's a really good question. I mean, there's no definite answer, but usually from what I've experienced, when they give a firm deadline, they hope that I send all the applications at one time. Yeah, at one time after the deadline date or on the deadline date. Usually if they're taking like a rolling application system, we try to get them to let us know that they're participating in that process, and we might write open until filled instead. But in my experience, what I've seen is the deadline dates are pretty firm and they want to see all the applications after the deadline date.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? I just wanted to open it up to my team if I missed anything that you wanted to add or maybe reiterate. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. If you have any more questions, I'm still here. I'm going to be here while Mindy is speaking and doing her piece. And feel free to email me or call me if you have additional questions. And yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Selma. Okay, hello, everybody. I'm Mindy. For those, it's a very unusual year. By now, you've usually met everybody, talked to everybody, and seen everybody. But anyway, I'm going to focus on spring, summer practicums, which I believe you have to register for the course in March. You have to register for the spring, summer semester. I'm going to kind of toggle back and forth between year one and year two. Overall, the information is going to be the same for both groups, because I know on the Zoom there are both cohorts, year one and year two advanced standing students. For year one students, the expectation is 469 hours, or about 67 days. For year two advanced standing student, the expectation is 518 hours, or about 74 days. The start date is April 26th. There's a little flexibility in that. For spring, summer, unlike during the year where most students go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, in summer, in order to get all the days in under, has to be done by Labor Day. One has to attend 4 or 5 days a week, and there could be a combination, and that's what's worked out with the field instructor. Having said that, there are 469 days for year one and 518 days for year two advanced standing, our accreditors, the Canadian Association for Social Work Education, has sent a directive to all social work programs across the country that because of the pandemic, they're allowing practicums to be reduced to no less than 338 hours, which comes to about 48 days. That is not our decision in the practicum office, and it's not your decision. It's the decision of the field instructor in the organization, whether they believe they could teach to the competencies, or, you know, we as a faculty are competency based, that they could teach to the competency in a reduced number of hours. Our experience this past year for year two, advanced standing in year one, is that most practicums, many practicums did not in fact reduce the hours to 337.5. They really felt that they wanted the complete number of hours in order to give a fulsome teaching opportunity. So to let you know that. And you're registering. The other thing two things I wanted to let you know. If you require accommodations in the practicum in the summer, please get to Accessibility Services and register. And if you can let us know ahead of time when your appointment is, or if you're setting up an appointment, that'll be really important for us. The other thing that we find is helpful are if you're in if you're year two advanced standing and you're in a collaborative program, let us know if you're in a collaborative program as well. And thirdly, I remembered, almost skipped out of my head. If you require for personal circumstances, for some reason, only a remote practicum, because of something with your family, with your living circumstances, with your own circumstances, that you cannot go in person into an organization because of COVID, please let us know as well. Okay, talking about housekeeping, those are a couple of housekeeping things. In addition to what someone was describing in terms of the opportunities on the website, the competitive, the off schedule, and the pass that we're going to be opening. We're opening the pass where the majority of vetted practicum opportunities they've agreed to offer a practicum to you guys. We're opening it hopefully around March 9th at about 4:30 for you to read what's available. You don't have to write it down. We're going to be sending an email. We're going to be communicating all this in an email. We're going to give you a few days after March 9 to read the opportunities. And by March 15, we're looking at you're submitting up to, could be 1, 2, or 3, up to 3 choices. Rank order the choices for us. And we're going to, in the practicum office, all of us sit down and do the assignments. In terms of the schedule, as I said, March 9th, we're aiming to open up the practicum, the PAS. Around March 15th, we're going to be asking for your submissions as quickly as possible. We'll make the assignments. We post them on your individual profile on the PAS. We'll let you know when it's posted and you open it, and you would then see where you're assigned, and we leave it to you to initiate the very important interview, because the interview is the next step after you make your submissions. There are going to be on each of the practicum profiles and the unit descriptions on the PAS, on the PAS, there are going to be requirements. We encourage you, please read them really well, because there may be a requirement. As much as you like the practicum itself and what they're offering, you may not be able to meet the requirement. One of the requirements that's pretty well across the board for most settings is a vulnerable person check, which typically you guys would come into my office. I'd witness your signature on the form. If you live in Toronto and you're making the request for vulnerable sector check to Toronto Police Services, I would be signing off. Obviously, we're not going to do that now, but we're going to let you know when we set up a Zoom call for you to register for the Zoom call, have your ID prepared. We're going to look at your face, look at your ID, and then send you the form with the instructions. That's how we have to do it during this COVID. As I said, most organizations are going to be asking for a vulnerable sector screening. For those of you who will be requesting screening from a police station not in Toronto, not under the jurisdiction of Toronto Police Services, email me and I will write you a supporting letter that will maybe help you get a reduced fee for any jurisdiction that's outside of Toronto. In terms of summer, it's in addition to the pass, you can, working with the Practicum office, you can look for a Practicum in your home community that's available this year because of COVID. You can also, if you're working in a setting that's meant, social service or health, and you have an opportunity to have a workplace employment-based Practicum, there's an application for that. You could look at that. There are we have on our website a list of partner organizations, PAS. The partner organizations on our masthead. When you go to Practicum, there's a whole drop-down link. One of them is partner organizations. That lists all the organizations where students have been placed in the past year. If you don't see an organization and you're wondering about it, just email me in the Practicum office and I could let you know whether they've been invited and this is not a good year, or there's a story or they're unable to offer a Practicum. If you have an idea for a Practicum that is not on the partner organizations, and in talking to other students you haven't heard anybody placed there, just let us know and we'll work at it. We'll strategize together whether it's possible or not possible. I don't know, what else can I tell you except that we're right now setting up practicums on the PAS. Selma has done a great job of putting, whenever we get a practicum on the website, that's going to be in person out of the city or off schedule. Just as an aside about the off schedule, if for some reason you apply to an off schedule, and because it starts earlier than April 26th, you have to be registered in the course in order to start. That's an important piece. Do people have questions? Because I'm just giving you an overview, but in terms of the schedule itself, you're all going to get emails around what the expectations.
Mindy, there are some questions posted in the chat, but I also just wanted to clarify, you were mentioning the submissions for the summer, looking at the pass, selecting the one up to 3 of interest. Those submissions do not go through the pass though, they are emailed to us. So I just wanted to clarify that there's no Form A on the pass. Those are sent by email to the Practicum office.
Thanks.
Do you want the questions read, or are you looking at the chat?
Oh, I just lost you. No, I'm not looking at the chat. Let's see. I'm looking at everybody's pictures.
Okay, so the chat begins
if you are
with,
still in the interviewing stage, no. Where does it start? I'm going down. I'm going down.
Okay, it's at Trinity's is the first.
So Trinity's asking, can year 2 students who are not advanced standing do a summer practicum? I do not believe so. I believe that year 1 has to be completed, and then you do simultaneously your courses in year 2 with the practicum. I hope I'm answering your question. The next question is, if year 2 students are doing a fall-winter practicum and need 518 hours, when does practicum typically run? Is it still 3 days a week from September to May? Second year and advanced standing students for September, again, as Selma mentioned, the interview, will happen in May and June. It'll be settled for April. The start date, I think, is something, I'm not sure we're 100% sure about it, but around September 16th, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are typically the practicum days. It does go from September through till about the first week of April to get the 518 hours in. And it depends on, again, it could be flexible if it's remote, and depending on people's classes, and it works out with the field instructor and the organization, that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday again is the set practicum days. But if there's flexibility on both sides and it works out for both the organization and the student, there could be other days involved. Just as something else around that, when you're reading the practicum offers on the pass, in the requirements, there may be strict requirements that a student, talking about September, there could be strict requirements a student has to attend either on a Monday or Tuesday, which are your class days. That because the organization feels that whatever they're doing on the Monday or Tuesday is integral to the learning. And if one can do it, then that's fine. But as a requirement, if your classes are Monday, Tuesday, and you cannot do it, it's unfortunate that you can't select that practicum opportunity. But for summer, 4 or 5 days a week, it's the only way that you're going to be able to get in all the days before it bumps up to Labor Day weekend. Question, when submitting placements, first choice being most desired to third being less desired, is this taken into account? Certainly when you send it by email to the practicum office, rank order them. And we'll see how everybody's falls out. It may be that you're going to get assigned to your third selection. Hopefully your third selection will still be a quality one because you've identified it as one of your 3. The next question, I have a question regarding Practicum 2. I found my own placement for Practicum 1 outside of the PASS system since I don't live within the GTA. If there is an opportunity to do Practicum 2 under a different team at the same organization, would that be acceptable? Well, why don't we talk? Because if it's in a different service and it's a quality learning experience, it could be. It could be a viable and valuable learning opportunity for you. The next question is, would you be able to give us an idea if the practicum opportunities in the spring, summer will be in person or remote? You'll see it very clearly when we open up the pass. Which ones are remote only, which ones are in person only, or which ones are remote and or in person, depending on the situation. They may start out remote, but given the pandemic, they may start out in person, given the pandemic, may revert to remote and vice versa. The practicum course, registering, I don't know how it works with Acorn, but I know that we ask you to complete an add drop form, a GSA add drop form. You complete it. It's forwarded to our Assistant Dean, Eileen McKee, and for you to be registered in the spring summer session, which I think is around March 23rd. I think that's when registration opens. There's a question about, do we need to be enrolled before we have access to the pass system? No, because the pass system is going to open around March 9, and registration for the course isn't going to happen until about March 23rd. Will there, the next question, will there be an info session that prepares us to apply for practicums to start in the fall and with information about, yes, we're going to do this for, yes, we're going to be more specific around fall, winter practicums. We're going to be more specific. It'll be Selma talking again about the practicums on the website, and I'll be talking about the PAS, which the process is a little different. As Denise mentioned, there's a form that we ask you to submit. The numbers are different. There's a few differences. Our system, the PAS, the critical mass, the number of students is too small for us to use the PAS for you to submit. That's why we ask you to submit through email. There's another question. I have a couple of places I'd like to do my practicum. Considering my own outreach, if I were to find my own practicum, is there specific competencies? For example, I guess what I would ask you to contact me before you outreach because we have so many partnerships, we know so many organizations, and we know how some organizations want to work with us, and some organizations are very, very clear that they don't want to hear from students in any way, even through informal, if you know somebody, they don't want that to happen. They only want to work through the practicum office. My suggestion is please contact me. Give me the organizations. You and I we could sit down and we could work through them. And if I understand and know the organization and how they work, we could better plan for the next steps. I would hate for us to outreach to organizations and it's not what they want. It's better that we plan ahead and be strategic about it. I think that's the best way. Yeah, are there any other questions? Anybody? Did I kind of answer them for spring, summer?
Another question just came in, Mindy, from Allison.
Allison's asking about the vulnerable sector screening in Toronto. It's so hard to know how long it's going to take for them to complete the check. They've gone from a past of 6 months turnaround time to only a couple of weeks. I certainly don't know how complex it is through the pandemic, but we're going to set up a Zoom in a week or two. We're going to let you know about the Zoom meeting for me to, again, see your ID and for us to send you the the Toronto Police Services form, because it's the only form that they will accept.
Mindy, can I just confirm something with you?
Of course.
So you said that the pass will open on March 9th and the 3 choices, but that's just for the summer practicum, correct? That's not for practicum 2 that's starting in the fall.
Correct.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. You have my email, Selma's email, Catherine, Denise, Practicum office. Any questions that you think of afterwards, no problem, just get them to us. and we'll do our best to answer them. We hope that we've given you some sort of structure to what we're planning, and look forward to working with you some more to get it to settle your learning. This is a great opportunity.
Mindy, before we break, while we're all gathered here, could I ask one more question?
Of course.
It's something I could probably look up, but given that we seem to have a couple minutes, perhaps I'll throw it out here. My question has to do with the vulnerable screening check. If we had that completed last year, I suppose in the fall of or I guess that's not last year now, fall of 2019 for our first year practicum, will that need to be recompleted for a year 2 spring summer practicum?
Our experience is that organizations want currency. They typically look for currency within 6 months or a year. What you're mentioning is, it's too long.
Okay. Thank you.
Catherine, what do you think? Are we saying goodbye?
I think it was all very clear. Yeah, unless there's any other questions.
Any other questions?
I just would comment on the vulnerable sector check. I know somebody said, Sophie said that it took about a month in December. From my experience, it's a bit quicker, maybe 2 weeks, even a week. So maybe December was a little slower just because maybe people were taking vacation then or something. From my experience, it's not been a month for the vulnerable sector check. So hopefully it won't be that long this time around.
Catherine and I will work out a date. We'll let you guys know. We'll work out a date that works for us to set up the Zoom. That it? Everybody okay? I don't know where everybody is, but it's snowing outside, so be careful. Is that it? Okay, everybody, be well. Take care of yourselves. Email us if you have any thoughts or questions.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.